hmm Fixing to tweak a thing, but it looks like we are live. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Technoid. Yeah, my intros are getting sloppy. I definitely got to pick them up sometime. But welcome back, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I'm just going to take a couple of seconds here to share this out on social media so that way you guys, for those of you that are MMA fans, if you want to check it out, you can come in. But welcome everybody. So to new subscribers, if you're wondering what exactly is this, this is a subscriber exclusive. This is not something that I do publicly. I don't tag these. I don't share these. Only on my social medias for my subscribers only. I want to keep clarifying it because a lot of people get confused when I do this. This is just me taking a break from tech and going into something else that I truly, truly love with a passion, and that's MMA. Now, again, like I said, this is not something that I do frequently. This is just something that is a subscriber special. So again, no tags, no shares. This is just for subscribers only. Now, if you're somebody that watches MMA, this fits in perfectly with you. But if you don't, maybe you'll learn a thing or two. But tonight's episode is Outside the Cage, a show that I've been going on for almost a bit of a while now. And I'm always joined by the great, the one and only, the SMT, who is going by the name of Majestic Goat. I don't know how that became to be, but the Majestic Goat is here. He's in the building, and we're going to discuss a couple of events coming up. So for those of you that are interested, please hit the like button, share this out on the platform. For those of you that are just bored of tech, want to take a little break, why don't you kick it back with the two of us? So, Majestic Goat, you're in the house.
Yeah, thanks for having me, dude. Let's do this.
All right, enough wasting time. Let's get right to it. We got one person in the live chat already. Bob is in the house. He says the fight is going to be interesting. Well, it's not on tonight, but it's on next week. That's what we're going to start with. Now, quickly, before we discuss the UFC Fight Night, Covington versus Woodley, we do have a quick bit of news I want to get out of the way. Sneed, I don't know if you know this, but there was a fight supposed to happen at UFC 254. It was supposed to be the co-main event. And that fight was supposed to be Dustin Poirier versus Tony Ferguson. Now, that fight was actually going to happen not only to determine the number one contender, but it was also going to happen as a co-main under the title fight of the lightweight championship between Khabib and Gaethje. But unfortunately, that fight is not happening because according to what's his name, the guy who's always on MMA, not Ariel Helwani, not that. Starts with an O. Whatever his name is, it'll come to my head when we get there. But according to him, the fight is off. And the reason that the fight is off is Dustin Poirier came out a couple times and he said that he is not being compensated. He's not getting paid enough. And Dana White, being Dana White, like we know Dana White is not going to pay this time. But Ferguson, on the other hand, just doesn't care. He does his own thing, Ferguson. So I want to ask the first question of the night, and then we'll get right into the predictions. What is your stance on the situation, hearing the details from what I've told you and knowing about Dana White? Because this is not the first time he's done this. What do you think? And I'll let you go first. You can have the floor. You can start it up.
There's been a lot of contract issues with good old Uncle Dana in the UFC. I think the fighters are starting to feel like they need more money. They need to be compensated better. Maybe there's more limiting factors in their careers. They're starting to take it more seriously. And they're seeing that some of the money that Conor and other fighters have received in big payouts, they're trying to get in on it. And they know they have an expiration date on their careers. So, obviously they look like money ploys. They're all moves to try to, get more money out of the UFC. But the UFC is reluctant to give out those paydays. So there's going to be a little bit of tug and war going on here.
Absolutely. You're 100% correct. You look at the fights and you look at the skills of Conor and all the other guys. They drew in the viewership, they draw on the pay-per-views. But to some extent, some of these fighters in the weight class, they're worth that kind of money. And I've always been on record saying I'm not one to judge what you're worth or what you think you're worth. But if I could just take a quick second to look at the lightweight rankings, taking a look at Dustin Poirier, he's number 2. And for a while, Dustin Poirier has been considered a top elite caliber fighter, not just because he was an interim champion and not just because he lost, but because of how much talent he's gone through in the lightweight division and just how respected his name is in the lightweight division. Now, a fight like Dustin Poirier versus Tony Ferguson is the dream fight. That's a dream matchup that you want to see. And the fact that they're reluctant to pay Dustin. Now, we know Dustin. He never, ever, in my opinion, I've never seen him ever say, I want more money. I want more money. We've never heard him ever come publicly and say, I just want more. This is, in my knowledge, maybe I'm wrong, but this is the first time in a long time anyway, the first time that I've seen him ask, like publicly say, like, I want to be compensated. Like, and he has a good reason. He has a legitimate reason. He's fought in top 5 caliber talent. His only loss in his big run was against, Khabib. But again, everybody loses to Khabib if you're fighting him. But my final question to you is that do you think the UFC, for this kind of a fight, and considering, the status of this card, do you believe that he should be entitled to the funds? And like I said, he never comes out publicly and never says this. He's usually a satisfied fighter.
I don't know, man. It's kind of out of character. It's typically not how he is, right? The other piece to this also is that he's fighting a lot of high profile fights. And like these types of fights, you don't want money getting in the way. I think eventually they'll get a deal, something like because that's usually what happens. Like eventually they do make a deal. I don't know how long it'll last. I don't know when they'll reschedule these fights that they want to make. I mean, what sucks for us is that we lose in terms of as fans, because if you take a look at the fight that's upcoming between Covington and Woodley, why do you think that never happened?
Money.
Probably, so, and now it's going to happen. And it's like Woodley is arguably out of his prime and he's on a skid. Covington's off a loss, or what is it? A couple losses. Maybe one.
We'll get right into it. We're going to transition right into it. I'm not.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. Is when money gets in the way, and then it becomes like this waiting game and this jockeying for position. It just changes the dynamics of the division, and then we don't really get the fights that we want at the time we want. So, like,
yeah. And Tony,
when the fighters are when they're burning up in their fame, that's when you want it.
Yeah, and to be fair, in all credit to Tony Ferguson, he hasn't ever said anything. He's quiet. He's relatively a quiet guy. He never.
Yeah, he is.
He never
talk smack. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't talk smack. And I believe that Dana came out the other night and said that they're going to get a new fight. So they're going to have a different fighter fighting him. So if I'm looking in the rankings to replace Poirier, or unless they come to an agreement, the only other fight that I can really think of, because honestly, I look at this division and I really don't know what Ferguson. I don't even think he should be fighting, because I think he deserves a fight with Khabib right after Gaethje. But again, that's not my place to judge. But the only fight on here that everybody's been saying in the comment section is Charles Oliveira. But again, I don't think that should be necessary if you could work out a deal against Poirier, because that's really the only competition left for him in the lightweight division. So I think you're right. Maybe they'll make a deal. Dana says no, but who knows? We still have plenty of time before the card, so we'll see what happens.
Usually Dana says things like, we'll see and we'll get a deal and things will work out. And so he's saying no deal.
Yeah, I'll read you the quote. I'll pull it up here, and let's get the Covington and Woodley card set, because I'll read you. But according to ESPN MMA, I'm going to pull up the quote here. He quoted saying, the question was asked, can Ferguson versus Poirier be salvaged? Dana straight up said, no, we're not even trying to salvage it. We're just going to get another opponent for Ferguson. So, yeah, I think he has his mind made up. I don't think he wants to.
Is Dustin in a contract right now? Like, how many fights are in his contract?
I'm not sure, actually,
because that sometimes matters. Like, if he's down the end of his line, then he has a little bit more power. But if he's like if he's 2 fights into a 5-fight deal, they're not in the business of restructuring deals.
Yeah, I think his contract as of now, they don't say he holds a contract. Well, obviously he holds a contract with UFC. I'm trying to look up the details before we get to the predictions. I know we're spending a little bit of time, but it seems like he re-signed recently. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean,
that's what I think. Figured.
Yeah, I think it's a recent. So again, we're gonna have to wait and see. But I actually think, looking at it now, this isn't the first time he's spoken out about leaving. Leaving, in a dispute. He actually, back in 2019, he actually was asked for his release from UFC. and that was due to what I believe. I think it was because he wasn't getting a title opportunity at the time. He was fighting Eddie Alvarez at that time point, and he believed he was in his rights. And then, after he said that, then they gave him another, I think the interim title shot, I believe. I think that was at the time. Yeah, and he won. So we'll see what happens. Again, I made a mistake, but again, it's not my place to judge. It's not my place to say things, but I would like to see that matchup happen. But if it doesn't happen, or if it doesn't happen another time, that's a shame.
Yeah.
But here we go. UFC Fight Night, Covington versus Woodley. Now, again, this is a matchup I really did not think we were ever going to get. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to come out and say it. I had no faith in this card. I really did not think that Covington versus Woodley was ever going to be a thing. I personally, in my opinion, I thought this was just a match that was all talk and no action. But to my surprise and to many, this happened. This is happening. This is really a thing. And the card itself, not even the Covington and Woodley match is enough. We've got 3 other matchups in here that are actually very good matchups. Say what you want about maybe the co-main, but still, we got high caliber fighters on this card and a one up and comer who's making a lot of waves. So we're going to get right to it. Now, in regards to the first 2 matches, I'm actually going to respectively skip them, not because they're terrible or anything. It's just, again, I do not know much about these 2 fighters, so I'm going to
I'm going to 2 fighters.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry, but if you would like to go, you could take this floor. Would you like to? Because I'm going to step out of this one.
Dude, Randa is phenomenal. Mackenzie, phenomenal. I can't wait to see that fight, dude. That'd be a great fight.
Watch it. Trust me, I watch everything, even the prelims.
Yeah, this is gonna be an awesome fight. I mean, they're both ascending stars, so yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, listen, your word is as good as mine, but I gotta do a little more research because trust me, we got plenty of time. But here's the first marquee matchup of the night: Johnny Walker against Ryan Spann. Now, this matchup, a lot of people on Twitter. I don't know why I keep looking at Twitter. I should really be looking at MMA Reddit because that's really where all the hardcore fans are nowadays. But this is a matchup that people are saying Johnny Walker must win. This is a must win for Johnny Walker. Now, if you guys don't know Johnny Walker, he was overhyped to hell all last year. Last year, he was all hyped. He was called the next best thing to John Jones. He was called the next dominator in the 205. He was praised to no limits. And then he suffered a loss to Corey Anderson, of all people. And then since then, he lost a second in a row. And now the hype train has utterly come to a complete stop or just falling off the tracks. Now, Sam, you have talked religiously in the past about the hype train of Johnny Walker. You also believe that he was overhyped. And now he's going up against Ryan Spann. Now, I know a little bit about Ryan. I'm not going to say I know everything about him, but I do know this man is the real deal. He's a great fighter, very good. But in my opinion, Johnny Walker, this is a fight I think that he should own. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, this is going to be a walk in the park because looking at his last 2 performances, and especially with the new coaching setup, he even got new coaching, he got new training and everything, and it still didn't really make a big difference. Now, to credit, the last matchup he had was an all-ground game, and he didn't really have a chance to shine on his toes. But this time around, I feel like we're going to see that. We're going to get a striking matchup in this fight. But to be honest with you, Sam, and I think I'm going to speak bluntly, I don't know whether I should root for Johnny Walker or against Johnny Walker, not because he's bad or not because he's overhyped, but just because I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know if he's going to keep ascending or descending. Like he really needs this win. And I want to ask you, who are you going to pick?
I'm gonna go with Johnny Walker. The reason I want to go with Johnny Walker for this one is because I think Johnny Walker is the real deal. I just think he didn't fight the right type of competition to get him ready, for some of the competition that he's now going to be facing. So, Ryan Spann's, he's a good fighter, man. I think I've seen his last 2 fights. I don't know who he fought before that, but I think I've seen his last 2. And, this is a good test for Johnny Walker. Now he's kind of tasted some adversity. He probably bought into his hype a little bit, so he was feeling himself. Sometimes you put your guard down, you think, I'm as great as they say I am and stuff, and then you stop you stop being humble, and then you start believing the hype, and it can kind of throw you off your game. And trust me, I think Ryan Spann would love to knock this guy out, dude, because that probably puts him into the top 10. And then anytime you get to knock off the hype train of a fighter, you take that advantage, you take the opportunity to do that.
I
So
think a lot of people would like to knock
they
Johnny
do.
Walker's head in. A
Yeah.
lot of people.
Yeah, he's kind of
But
smug, he's been like that in like recent past. So, but like hopefully he's resilient and he bounces back, and I'm rooting for him. And
agreed.
how he acts if he gets a good win here, he's gonna get a good opponent on his next fight. So, he'll crack the top 10, and then
Yeah.
that'll get him back into probably fighting a gatekeeper, a number 5 and number 6 kind of guy. And then he'll probably be looking at fights with, people like Thiago Santos and the likes, if he can win a couple, but he's got to beat Ryan Spann, who's a tough fighter, dude. He's that boy good, bro. He's real tough.
Oh yeah, that boy good, indeed. But yeah, I'm gonna go for the sake of wanting to see a redemption in Johnny Walker. I'm gonna go with Walker because I do believe he can salvage this. It's not too late. He's still relatively young. He's still got a lot of time.
Yeah.
He's got plenty of time to redeem his career.
And he's very skilled. He's very fun to watch.
He is skilled. He is fun. I'll give you all that. But I think you're right. He wasn't positioned right. He wasn't given the right challenge when he came in, and everybody really did hype him up. I gotta say, it was.
They really wanted to see him fight John Jones, but you can't force that issue. You know what I'm saying, Mike? You can't
force it.
You got to be ready to take on a guy like John Jones. Like, I know he's the prototypical size, 6'6", very long. He's got this diversity of striking, but you can't teach, expertise. You can't teach experience. And that's simply what he needs. He needs rounds in the octagon against high-level fighters.
Yeah, and granted, he did, he won the Contender Series when he first came here. Then he went on a decent winning streak. But I feel like the hype train started when he beat in 235, when he won his fight. I don't know if you remember 235. That's when I feel like the hype train took a big, huge, like everybody didn't started crowding. Because I look at his last few fights, he only realistically had 3 fights and they were hyping him up.
Yeah.
Granted,
exactly.
His amateur career was okay because his amateur career, that was before UFC, and he did okay in his amateur career. But
look at his finishes. Like, he was exciting. He was finishing people in the
TKO,
first
KO,
round.
submission, guillotine. Yeah, he's a very skilled and athletic fighter, and that's why I think that I would like to see him win next Saturday, because I'll tell you what's going to happen. If Johnny Walker wins Saturday, if he beats Ryan Spann, guarantee you he will break the top 10. Like you said, he will break the top 10, because once you get this is number 11 against number 12. So obviously one of those two is going to get pushed and one's going to go up. So I think that Walker will break the top 10. And now that you have John Jones out of the division, and now you're going to have a new champion, you're going to have new competition. Again, like you said, gatekeeper, then he'll start getting Thiago Santos and a couple of others. And yeah, he could definitely get the right challenge. So I'm really excited for this matchup. I want to see him win. I don't want to see anything bad happen to a fighter. I never do. But he really needs to get this win so that way he can start to rebuild his career, so that way he can start having a claim for the title. Because he's 28 years old. So he's definitely got a lot of time. All right, next matchup, I'm going to let you have this one, because if I go on anymore, I'm just going to have a heyday with this one. So I'm going to let you talk about this one. Go ahead.
This is an interesting matchup. So in this division, I'm guessing that this is going to be this is a middleweight fight, or is this a 205?
Middleweight.
This is a middleweight fight. You always like to actually choose the guy who's normally a middleweight, because that's where they've been. So if the other guy is moving down, is it going to be a really hard weight cut? I mean, that's a lot. It's 20 pounds, dude. So could be a tough cut especially if it's their first time making the cut. They might be too big for the division, too many pounds to lose. Maybe, doing that weight cut will cost them, fight night. So it takes a lot out of them. The other piece is speed. For a guy who normally fights at 205, when they go down to 185, those guys are a lot faster. So that those could be key factors in this fight. So because of that, I don't know, man. I don't. But I've also seen this, go to the edge of the bigger fighter. So maybe the guy at 205 goes down to 185, makes the weight. The weight cut's not too bad, and then he's so much bigger and so much stronger. He's been used to fighting at 205. He has the advantage. So I've seen that too. But honestly, if I'm going to look at this, all those factors considered, man, I don't know. I'm going to go with Khamzat. I've seen his last probably 2 fights.
Yeah, how could you not see his last 2 fights?
He's really tough, like really tough. Some of these fighters, I mean, they're all tough, man. Don't get me wrong, Mike. I'm not going to discredit a fighter. They're choosing to fight for a living. They're all pretty tough, dude. But like some of these guys are just wired different. And I think he's one of those guys. Like he gets clipped and he keeps on coming. He gets you up against the cage. It gets real dirty there. Very strong. I don't know, man. I think, a lot of these fights are 3-round fights, right? They're not 5-round main card fights. So it's whoever can basically win those first 2 rounds unless there's going to be a finish, right? And I don't see a finish happening between these 2 guys unless it's like a ground and pound type situation. And honestly, I think he's going to win just based on his grit. I think he's going to wear him down, and that tough weight cut will take a lot out of him. So I'm going to take Khamzat. I'm going to take him.
Khamzat.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, you're right. Listen, I know of Khamzat, and he's a good fighter. You watch Brave when he fought.
How much do you think Gerald's gonna weigh? Fight night. So they cut weight. To make it on Friday, and then the fight Saturday night. How much do you think Gerald's gonna be back up after he makes the weight?
I don't know. Maybe. Well, if he cuts down to 185, I mean, I don't know, because that's a tough weight cut. I could see him being, just short of 185, like 187 or 186.5 or something. I don't even know if he'll make exactly 185. Hey, listen, I don't know.
Right? So that's going to be his cutoff. Let's say he makes 186. He's going to rehydrate. He's going to eat. Like he might be like 205 by the time they fight after he rehydrates, bro. I don't know, man. It's going to be a tough fight.
Yeah, I think it is, but knowing who Khamzat is and knowing of his style, not that he has a style like you could predict. You know what I look at him, Khamzat? I look at him as a guy that's just hungry. He's a fighter that does anything and everything to win. And if you look at the last 2 fights, I don't know if you remember, that last fight he had, my man didn't even land 1 punch on him.
I know.
And his previous fight beforehand, barely got off 50 punches, barely collectively. Yeah, and he's a dominant ground man, and he's got power. People have said, "Oh, we don't know how he can fight." I've seen a couple of his sparring videos with Alexander Gustafsson. He gave Gustafsson 1 kick, and Gustafsson landed like 3 or 4 on him, in sparring. 1 kick sent Gustafsson flying down.
Do you think this gets him ranked with a win, or do you think he still needs a couple of wins?
I think he needs maybe a couple more wins because he just started in the UFC. He's only 2-0 in the UFC, respectively. And I do think he needs to kind of build a resume. I'm not going to overhype him, but at the same time, I'm not going to sleep on him either. Because
I ain't sleeping on him either, bro. That boy good.
For somebody to come back 10 days later and dominate in a fashion that he did shows not only is he hungry, determined, but this is going to sound corny, but from the Rocky movies, he's got the eye of the tiger, man. My man is going in there.
Yeah.
He's going in and he going to dominate. So give me Khamzat not for pretty much just annihilation on the ground. I think that's what's going to happen. But again, Gerald comes in. He's like, I'm going to hype the train or derail the train or whatever. Good luck with the weight cut, my man. Good luck with the weight cut. Next fight, the co-main event, Cowboy Cerrone against Nico Price. Okay, this one I'm not too heavily invested in. Not that it's boring or anything. Obviously, you're going to get a good fight with Cowboy Cerrone, but I'm concerned. I'm really concerned for Cowboy. Everybody's saying he's done, he's this, he's that, and now he's slowly been on the decline. Ever since the Conor McGregor fight. Now he's in welterweight. He's been jumping from weight class to weight class, trying to find success. He was in lightweight, then he went back to welterweight. Now went to welterweight, and he went back down to lightweight. It's like he's all over the place, and I don't know what's going to happen after this fight because I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if Cerrone's going to win this fight. I don't know. Not that I'm saying he won't win, but like I'm not certain he'll win. And I know there's a lot of Cowboy fans that'll look at me and say, "You're wrong, and here's why you're wrong," or "You don't know anything about MMA." Hey, listen, you don't have to be a genius to watch his last few fights to see that something's up. You could see that this isn't the Cowboy Cerrone we all know. The famous head kicks. This is a people could say it has to do with old age, of course. He's getting a lot older, but it's just there's something about him that just doesn't ring the Cowboy that I remember or most people remember. And I'm just, I'm concerned. I'm not concerned for his health and stuff. I'm just concerned, like, I don't know if he's going to be able to keep up with these guys. And he even questioned it himself. He came out and said, I did have to start thinking about retirement, but he doesn't want to do it right away. I don't know, man. I don't know. I love Cerrone. I love that he'll fight anyone, any day, anytime, any weight. But I'm just like, I don't know if he's going to keep up, man. I don't know. Go ahead, Sam. I'm going to pick Nico Price. You go ahead.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to take Nico Price here too because there's like a certain fire that's within the fighters when they want to win and make championship runs and stuff like that. It may be a situation where not much of that is left for Cerrone. I mean, he's got a lot of miles, dude. And the last couple of years have been pretty vicious to him. I mean, he's been finished in some pretty sick fashion a couple of times. That was not really the case previously. That didn't really happen. He was always game. But those quick turnaround fights that he kept doing and the damage he was taking, I think that shit caught up to him. So honestly, man, give me the rising star. Give me the young up and comer who's hungry and wants to make a name for himself by getting a signature win against a legend.
Yeah, and it's a shame because Cerrone, to me, will be one of the greatest MMA fighters to not win a title, if that's the case. If I say, because you look at his resume, this man's fought elite caliber fighters. He's beaten the likes of fought. He's fought in the likes of Conor McGregor, Anthony Pettis twice, one in prime and then maybe a little out of prime. He fought Tony Ferguson, Ali Quenta, Justin Gagey. So it's not like he's losing to nobody. He's fighting top caliber guys. But I think you are onto something when you said that those quick turnarounds. I think that those definitely did catch up to him because I think the turnaround was after the Iaquinta fight when he came back and tried to fight Tony Ferguson. Because in that fight, he went all 5 rounds. I don't think he truly rested for that fight, with Ferguson, because Ferguson just destroyed him with the elbows, and then he closed his eye. Then you go back with Gagey, and Gagey beats him in the first round. Then we get to 2020, fights Conor McGregor, which, again, I don't know how that's a return fight and how that does anything for McGregor. McGregor beats him in 40 seconds. Then at 249, he comes back, fights Pettis, and literally goes the full distance but loses in split decision. Now, of course, some people do argue. There is a claim that they do say that he kind of won that fight. There are people defending him. But again, it was a close fight with Pettis, though, I would argue. But again, he hasn't won since 2019 of last year. And like you said, the close turnaround maybe did something. So yeah, Nico Price. I'm sorry. And with that, we get to the main event, the main matchup, and then we're going to move on to UFC 253, Covington versus Woodley. Now, Sam, I'm going to let you go first. This is the main event. This is a fight, again, did not think we were ever going to get because of so many things happening. I'm going to just say it right now. We agree on this. As crappy as Colby Covington is as a trash talker and a heel, the boy could fight. There's no denying the boy could fight. And I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah, he's a hell of a fighter, and he's also, I think, at this point in time, a better fighter than Tyron Woodley. If I look at Covington's, pull up the odds, man. If I look at Covington's fights, I mean, he's in there against the best, and he's putting it on him too. I know he didn't win all of them, but he's right there. They're 5-round bangers, onslaughts, man, and he's right there. And Woodley's getting beat bad. He's been finished. I mean, it just hasn't been good. The fact that Woodley is still ranked number 5 surprises me with all that action in that division. Welterweight's crazy. But, I mean, I guess it's a match that's needed to happen. It finally has, but the buzz is definitely gone. I mean, it's still a high profile fight, but it's not what it would have been in 2018. You know,
Oh,
so yeah, that's kind of how I see it. I really hate to say this, but I'm gonna go with Colby Covington, even though I think he's a loser. You know, but he's a phenomenal fighter. I mean, you really can't mess with that pace. And I mean, Woodley's been getting worn out from guys his last couple fights. So yeah, I'll take Covington. I got him wearing him out, bro. Finish him in the third round, dude.
no, yeah, yeah. You know what? I'll back you on that. I agree. I go Covington, and I think Covington is a good fighter. He only ever lost twice
Mike, let
in
me
his
ask you
whole
this:
career.
is it possible this could play out where, just because they're like their previous history and their beef and their spats in the media, you think that like could motivate Woodley to the point where like the old Woodley could come up and hit him with a huge overhand right hand, like
Um,
and just and get a knockout or something like that?
it's possible. It is possible, but can he do it? Because when we look at his last performance when he came back and he fought, Gilbert Burns really just dominated him all 5 rounds. And Gilbert Burns is not, Gilbert Burns was top 5 when he took that fight. He was number 2 or number 1. I'm sorry, Tyron Woodley was number 1 ranked. So you look at Woodley, he's got striking abilities, wrestling, ground. Gilbert Burns had him in everything. Even clocked him a couple of times. Even Woodley's shots didn't do anything to Gilbert Burns. So I mean, he can land on Covington, but look at Covington. He can take the shots and he won't back away. He will get up in your face. He will keep pressuring you up against the cage. A great example was the Robbie Lawler fight. Lawler hit him with a couple of clean shots. Did Covington back up? Did Covington say, you know what, I got to retreat? No, he kept going for the clinch, and it worked. Because that's the thing that I like about Covington. Where most guys would try to back away and try to recover, Covington does not stop. He keeps going in. He keeps wanting more. And Covington doesn't have any striking power. I'm not saying he's a terrible striker, but he just is not a dominant striker. But what he makes up for is his clinch, ground and pound, and volume of striking. He doesn't need to win just by submitting or anything, just by control and volume. That's how Covington's been able to succeed. Now, of course, like I said, he's only lost twice. Kamaru Usman, and then way back, I think 2015 was his first ever loss. But since then, the man's fought in the who's who of the welterweight division, and they're not easy guys back then. You had Rafael in 2018, 2017, Damian Maia, 2019, Robbie Lawler. Now, of course, Lawler, he's not what he used to be, but he's still a good fighter, Lawler. I think he's a good gatekeeper at this point now. Then he fought Usman, and we saw how that played out. Yeah, he lost, but he didn't lose terribly. He managed to go to the 5th round, even though I still thought he would have lost if it went to decision. But still, he could fight. And this Tyron Woodley that we see, it's not the Tyron Woodley we know. This is not the Tyron Woodley. Now, there have been talks with Woodley's camp saying that he's going to approach this fight as if this is like a retirement fight, meaning like this is either the make it or break it fight. And he doesn't want that. So I'm hoping there's some kind of motivation, like you said, to hit him and just knock him out. Because I think, and listen, even though I'm picking Covington, we both agree. We would love to see somebody knock the hell out of Covington. Like just knock him cold and just doesn't wake up. I'm not saying death. I'm just saying, just out cold. But in this scenario, in this situation where we're in, where, Covington has a far superior track record and, the way he fights, and looking at Woodley and what he is now, I have no choice but to go with Covington. And I think they go to the decision. That's what I think. Anything you want to add?
No, not really. I'm gonna go Covington, bro. He's gonna get himself a finish, bro. I think he's gonna wear him out.
And you know what's going to happen? And I'm pulling up the 253 ranking fights, and then we'll get right to it. What's going to happen is if Covington wins this fight, not only does it keep him at number 2, because what's going to happen now is going to keep him in the title contendency. And a lot of people don't want to see this man in the title contendency, not because he can't fight, because he's just an idiot. But also, if he loses this fight, not only will it swap him with Tyrone, but if Tyrone loses this fight, he's out of the top 5. He's out. Like he'll go to top 10. Like he'll be in the 6 to 10 rankings. So if I was
I think the bigger issue is if Woodley loses and gets finished, the retirement talks have to start.
No, yeah. it's been, I wouldn't say it's been starting, but there have been little nibbles and little hints that it's going to happen. But we can't really comment, so we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens, man. All right. With that said, let's get to our final predictions, and then I think we'll wrap it up. UFC 253, Adesanya versus Costa. We've talked about this. We've talked about the styling, so we're just going to get right to the predictions. Now, I just want to clarify, this has been added in at the time of this recording. This is going to be the co-main event for the light heavyweight, there we go, interim title. The rest of the card, though, has not been solidified. They did not create the prelims, so some of these fights here that you see, while they are in the card, they haven't been solidified as the fights. But briefly, if you want to take a look at the cards, because I'm only going right to the last two because I actually got to run, so I don't have enough time to cover the whole card. But if there's any particular matchup that stands out to you, Sam, we could take a couple of minutes to talk about it if you'd like. I'll scroll up. You let me know if you see anything.
The Diego Sanchez fight, the one that you just scrolled up from with Jake Matthews, that's a good fight. Although it's not a high-profile fight, but yeah, it'll be fun. And anytime Diego Sanchez fights, we always watch. So he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
And he's an entertainer.
Diego Sanchez, he's entertaining. I think that will make the main card. I think that would make the main card.
Alex de Silva is a good fighter. I'm excited to see how that goes with Brad
Riddle.
Yeah, Riddle. I'm not sure about that pronunciation. I know that Alex de Silva is probably the favorite there.
Yeah.
This next fight, not really familiar with those two fighters.
I've seen this man before. He's all right. I've seen him before.
The ladies fight is a big time fight because obviously that's a huge title fight.
That's a huge title contending fight right there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna definitely keep my eye on this one.
Yeah, because Claudia, anytime she fights, she's right there for, she's a top contender. So that's going to be a big fight. I don't know much about the next fight, the one above it, that flyweight.
This one I know a little bit about. This one's going to be good because this is going to help start the flyweight. We've already got Diego Figueiredo, so this is going to help kind of set up the flyweight like top 5. This is going to be a good fight because one of these guys will help make the flyweight, solidify and help get some contenders in there. So I'm going to watch this as well.
There's a big time fight right there, the Dominic Reyes, Jan Blachowicz.
Ooh, let's get right into it. So this one, okay, I'm gonna just come out and say it. I don't care. Call me anything you guys want. I'm going Dominic Reyes all the way. I don't even want to explain, but I'll have to explain. And let me even explain. Now listen, Jan Blachowicz is real deal. Just because this man beat Corey Anderson, just because of a few here and there, does not mean this man is something to be slept on. So am I in no way implying that this man cannot win? However, though, let me explain why I'm going Dominic Reyes. First of all, the last recent fight that he had was against John Jones, the former champion. And to this day, everybody still believes he is the rightful champion. People, and also, by the way, I meant to say it's not interim title. It is going to be the actual title. I don't know why they put interim. Maybe, who knows? Maybe Jones comes back. I don't know. But
that's the actual title because he vacated.
That's the actual. He did. He's going to heavyweight. But Reyes fought Jones, and the way that he fought Jones was a very good fight. He had him, I believe, in the first 3 rounds. Last 2 rounds, you can argue Jones with the takedowns, but Dominic Reyes was clearly the far superior fighter that night. Now, taking a look at Reyes, his career. Yeah, he relatively didn't fight big names, but obviously the biggest name of them all is John Jones. But with a man like that coming up against the former champion, with basically the skill and presets that you have against the former champion, going into this fight, I would expect him to be well prepared. Because if you could take on, the former champion for 5 rounds, you should be able to do this. Now, of course, we've seen how this has played out a couple of times, and it doesn't necessarily work out. Most recently, Tyron Woodley. But I have faith in Reyes. I want to see him get the title. I truly believe that he won that Jones fight, and I will not stop saying it. And, John, he's a dominant fighter. He was supposed to fight Jones, but of course we know what happened. And I do see an outcome where John could win as well. But for the purpose of just how I look at Reyes in terms of fighting, in terms of striking, and in terms of just his skill sets, and based on his last fight as well, because I've seen a couple of fights too, but based on the last fight, I think he should have a good indication of winning this fight because I do believe he can win. I do believe he could beat John. But again, John is all power. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does lose, but I would love to see Reyes wins because I still believe that he won that Jones fight.
I agree, dude. It was watching that fight was hard to see that decision go to John Jones. I really don't understand the judging in MMA sometimes. And I also think the bigger issue is if it's that close, why has it never gone against John Jones? Like you can always do a rematch, right? Like why is it always like this, man? I hate that.
Of course, I agree with you.
But yeah, Reyes is he's the second best guy in that division to John Jones. And since Jones is going heavyweight, I mean, you'd figure he's the guy to win. So I mean I'll take Reyes. I think he's a smart fighter. I think he'll stay away from the strengths of Blachowicz, and I don't know. Jan's a really good fighter too. I mean, he's tough as nails. That's gonna be a good fight, man. I mean,
it is going to be a good fight.
It'd be an upset. It would be an upset if Jan won, but I wouldn't be completely surprised just because I know that he's a good fighter.
Absolutely, 100% agreed. And I would say, something I gotta say, the light heavyweight division is so European nowadays. There are hardly ever a few Americans. I'm not even trying to be mean. I'm just saying that shows you how tough the competition is in the third world countries. They got some serious contenders.
Yeah,
Don't
man, good
mess with them.
fighters. Yeah.
And now we get to the main event. I think we really talked a lot about this matchup. I think we kind of have talked about it, but we didn't say who was going to win. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just brush up everybody. We've discussed this fight. We did our reaction. We talked about what would need to be done, but we didn't say who was going to win. So we're going to do that now. But I just want to point out a couple of things. Number one, this is the second or third, I don't know how many times, but I think this is like something time, whatever, that two fighters, one is a champion and one's a contender, where both fighters are undefeated and is going to give up their rankings, and one is the champion. I think that's very rare in the UFC. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. But, I've been getting a lot of comments from the last video, and a lot of people are supporting Adesanya. And I'm going to read to you quickly, Sam, and I want you to react, and then you can make your pick. But in the last discussion that we did, I got a lot of comments with people saying that we were wrong to pick Adesanya Costa over Adesanya. So I was like, why are they saying that? So let me pull up the comment. And trust me, if you disagree with what the person wrote, that's your opinion. Again, I got into a debate with him, but I didn't call him anything. I just said, hey, listen, you're entitled to. So here's what he wrote. He said, guys, people have not been calling him a boring fighter ever. The only boring fight he's ever been in was the Romero fight, and honestly, it was more Romero's fault. A beast like Costa will not wait like Yoel, and that will be his downfall because big pressure fighters are Izzy's bread and butter. Look at the Brad Tavares fight. Look at the Marlon Verreri fight and many more. I used to hate Izzy as a person, but I realized how he will always back up everything he says. Dude, we have been saying Izzy would lose every fight since the Brunson fight, and he always making us look like fools afterwards. I thought Rob would scratch him and Israel KO not once but twice. I'm tired of him making me look dumb. So I hope Izzy trains because this Costa fight will be the same. If Costa doesn't clip him in the first or second, it's a wrap for him. What is your reaction to that?
I mean, not a lot of argument, dude. I mean, he's speaking facts. So, when he spoke about the Romero fight, it's true. Romero he'll make you sleep, and he'll make you think he's wounded, and then he'll explode on you. So, yeah, a lot of that is true.
Yeah, I'll give credit. He's right. I told him, I acknowledged where he was right. I told him, I said, you're absolutely right. That fight did involve Adesanya and Romero. It's not one over the other. Both fighters have to, and Romero definitely had a part to play that night. And he's right. We do kind of always sleep on Izzy. But I told him where I disagree is that we always are looking for him to lose. It's not that we're not looking for him to lose. We want him to be a defending champion. The problem is that he hasn't fought, in, at least now that he's champion, he didn't really fight the top five. Romero was the substitute to Costa. Now that you have the second best, you have the top five right within his fingertips, this is the fight that's going to determine him as a champion. But I think he maybe misunderstood what we were saying because then he went on and wrote after that he was saying that we were calling Costa overhype and stuff. We're not overhyping anybody. This is just what Costa does. And I did fact check Sam, and he did actually go past the third round once. And it was against Yoel Romero where he won by a unanimous decision. So I just wanted to clear that up. But again, I'm not sleeping on Izzy. I want to see Izzy win. I do want him to be a defending champion, and I want to see him succeed, especially in a weight class where a lot of guys are dominant and strong. Now, of course, Yoel is a different story, but you're fighting Paulo Costa. This is the number 2 ranked. He has proven himself, and there's no introductions necessary. So I personally, again, even though I agree with what he said, and I definitely, like I said, I want to see Izzy, I'm picking Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa is just a different style of fighter. I don't see him doing what Yoel did. He's going after Adesanya. And even though Adesanya has good precision, and I definitely think his striking is good, Costa's not going to wait. Costa's going to dive down. He's going to take him down. He's going to put this man through the ringer. I don't think he's going to just be like, oh, I'm going to wear you out. We're going to keep going. Because Izzy has the experience with the 5 rounds. He did it with Yoel, and he did his first championship fight, and then even Kevin Gastelum. So I don't think he's going to wait. I think he's going to go right in, and he's going to try to dominate from the start. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's gonna be a lot of pressure. Costa's tough. Izzy's very good with counter striking. He's gonna get him a couple of times. I mean, there's just no way around it. I mean, I expect Costa to get clipped at least 2-3 times around. Man, I it's hard. A lot of times you try to play out all these scenarios and try to think, all right, where's this fight gonna go? How long is it gonna last? What's the most likely scenario? So I think it's going to be a decision. I don't think either of them wants to lose. I think Izzy feels the pressure to win. I think Costa feels the pressure to win. So one guy's trying to validate his championship, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Israel Adesanya, he has to validate he's a champion. And Costa's legit competition, man. This guy he's a beast, bro. He's so scary. He's such a good fighter. And he's evolved really fast. He's ascended very, very quickly. I'm rooting personally for Costa, but a piece of me just feels like it's that diversity of striking, that unique movement. The counter striking is so effective from Israel Adesanya. It's hard to pick against him, man. So like I said, I'm rooting personally for Costa. If I was betting money, I guess I'll put my money on Israel Adesanya. But like I said, man, I really can appreciate, what Costa has done so far in his career. And I would love to see him a champion. And like to me, this is a pick'em fight. That's how close I think it is. Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
For people to say like, oh, Israel Adesanya is going to win. No, it's not even going to be close. That's so wrong on so many levels. That's disrespectful to Costa, And for somebody who says that Israel Adesanya is going to blow him out, that's disrespectful. And for somebody to say Costa is going to, knock him out quickly or finish him quick, that's disrespectful too. This is going to be a tough fight.
Yeah, and if you look at the Vegas odds, it's almost close. Adesanya comes in as a minus 163, and Costa comes in as a plus 137. So it's a close fight.
Say it again. I kind of missed it. What was the line?
Oh, so the Adesanya and Costa fight with the Vegas odds, right now, Adesanya is sitting at minus 163, and Costa's plus 137.
Yeah, it's a pretty close fight. But, yeah, they do favor Israel Adesanya. I mean, he's the champion. So, but, yeah. I mean, it's close. That's a close fight. But if you're going to have a hard time making money on Adesanya, you might make a little bit of money on Costa. That's a good bet to take, actually.
No, it's an excellent bet. Look at it this way. Costa was the only man that I've seen in recent fights ever take the pressure to Yoel Romero. Like, did you see Romero after that fight? That was insane. The fact that Costa,
he's not scared.
He was not scared.
He's not scared. I'm telling you right now, he's not scared of Adesanya. Hopefully, he can keep his composure, because you see how things have kind of been shaken out and their encounters and stuff. It's been kind of weird, right? Like, Costa's been abnormally loud. He's been talking a lot. This is really not his style. He's a much more, calm demeanor, respectful kind of guy. He does all the talking in the ring or in the octagon,
And that's a scary man. Man that has not much trash to say, but can back it up in the
he's a cold-blooded killer,
man.
Bro. Yeah, man.
That's a scary man. And look at Adesanya. If you watch his recent interviews, he's calling Costa an overweight balloon. He's talking this, and Costa's just sitting there like, hey, man, I don't need to talk. When I get in the ring, that's not talking. That's why I say, Adesanya is trying hard to sell this fight, but he doesn't have to try hard to sell. Just don't talk trash about him and just go in there and win. I think everybody's invested. Look at the ranking: 19-0, 13-0. That alone, they're two undefeated fighters. They're giving up not only their undefeated,
Mike, can we agree that these are the best two things going on right now at the middleweight division?
Absolutely, yes.
Like, these are hands down the best fighters in that weight class.
100%.
Yeah, for sure, dude. And their styles are very different. I mean, this is going to be a fun fight, dude. We got to watch this one virtually together for sure.
Oh, absolutely. When it comes, I'm setting up the live stream. You better not bail out on me this time.
When did I bail out on you?
The last one.
No, I didn't bail out on you, dude. Things come up, bro. That's not me bailing.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
All right, man. All right.
And that's it for our predictions. That's it. So, so we're going to end a little early, guys. The only reason is because I have a little bit of things to do. But listen, guys, we will be back at this.
Gene's going live also. Gene is going live.
Yes, definitely check out Gene. I'll be watching. But, guys, this is it for our predictions. We'll be back for Khabib and Gaethje when that card gets solidified. Yeah. And then after that, we'll see what happens. We usually do. And we'll see what happens. But, guys, thank you so much for coming on. For those of you watching on replay, hashtag replay crew. Replay crew. I sound like I was saying Blues Clues. But anyway, thank you once again to the SMT for joining. Thank you guys so much for coming. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your night. And peace.
Yeah.